See, in my lifetime, and I'm not that old, it was perfectly legal for employers to discriminate against women. In my lifetime, women were not legally allowed to make fundamental decisions about their bodies. And practically speaking, many still can't. In my lifetime, domestic violence was seen as a private matter between a man and his wife, rather than as the horrific crime that it is.
UN Women, as you guys know, has defined the year 2030 as the expiration date for gender inequality. And here's what's staggering. The studies show that at the current rate, the elimination of gender inequality won't be possible until 2095.
Karena penelitian menunjukkan sukses berkorelasi positif untuk laki-laki, namun kerap membawa konsekuensi negatif bagi perempuan. Menjadi sukses dan disukai bukan hal biasa untuk perempuan, justru kerap bertolak belakang. Kenyataan di sekeliling menunjukkan, terkadang ambisi yang kita miliki dianggap bertentangan dengan tradisi. Pekerja perempuan yang mengupayakan posisi dianggap hanya memikirkan diri sendiri.
Dalam buruh perempuan di berbagai daerah Indonesia kerap mengalami diskriminasi gender di tempat kerja. Mulai dari kesenjangan hak kerja sampai kasus pelecehan seksual yang dialami buruh perempuan.
So I'll be reading a story from one of my closest friends. I was 12 years old when I dated this guy back in junior high school. He was a senior and 2 years older than me. We dated for 5 to 6 months and then we broke up because he wanted to focus on his national examination. And only then I discovered his bad intentions and all. One of my guy friends asked him why he broke up with me, and he said that it was because I couldn't fulfill his need. Like, I was only 12 years old, for God's sake. What does he want from me? Not long after, he apologized to me for breaking up with me and dated another girl. I forgave him, and not long after, we got back together, and then for a year we were in an on and off relationship. During this period, he asked for my photos for several times, which I refused to give at first, but then I gave in and gave him my photo. He promised me not to share the photo, but he turned out did. It was a nightmare for me. I was in my last year of junior high school. I had national examination coming up, and everyone in school knew about it. A friend that I trusted even tried to use the photo against me. Well, when he said that he was going to help me. One of my ex's friend told me that I was just a bet, and then my ex shared the photo in his group. It took me years to heal, and many people threatened and terrorized me using my photo. Even just last week, someone DM'd me and threatened me with my photo even after years. There was even one time when someone messaged my sister with my photo to get a photo for me. I hated myself and blamed myself for that. I wasn't living my life to the fullest. But then what happened back there made me stronger and made me who I am today. I guess for those who have been victimized by patriarchy, my message for you guys is, if you guys have encountered any problem, you guys have to stand up for yourself and don't bottle it up. Patriarchy is everywhere. You can find it anywhere. But you have to always try to be the best of you, and always keep in mind that you're worthy, and you cannot let them make you feel worthless.
This is a story from someone that I know, and I'm going to be reading. My experience of toxic relationship was when I was in high school. I was in a special relationship with one of my close friends. At that time, I felt like he was the best person that understood me and has a close relation to my family. However, after a few months, I was mistreated. So I end up in a relationship that is hurtful, but somehow I endured it as I am addicted to the relationship. In the beginning, I received a rough treatment, like being pinched or hit in the arm, and even at times slapped. Usually, the incident happened because there was a misunderstanding, or I failed to spend my time with him. Often, he was jealous of my relationship with my friends. Thus, he had to monitor all the aspects of my life, including the relationship I built with acquaintance. I kept going because I thought that someday he will change, and I always tried to think the positive side, that maybe it is a method of him to say that he cares about me. Toxic relationship that I endured is not only about physical violence, but I also often get verbally abusive treatment that will make me down, not confident, and afraid to be myself. I feel like my life is being driven by him. So whatever I do, there must be an agreement with him. If it is violated, I will be punished. Not only that, but one day I had a great fight with him just because of a misunderstanding. And when he met me, it was almost midnight and he came into my house, approached me, and punched me on the shoulder. Then, after I hit the wall, he kicked my right thigh and I was strangled twice until my body was lifted. Those are the things that have been traumatizing me up to now. Even sometimes it makes me feel afraid to open up to other people. On the other hand, there are also painful and embarrassing experiences. So once I went out with him, and on the trip he felt offended or disliked something that I did, and then he took me down from his vehicle in the middle of the road, and even though it was in the middle of the night. This happened not just once or twice, but often. The thing that makes me feel embarrassed again is when I finished school and I fought with him. In the early morning, we discussed about it. And because I talked back, he pulled me from his motorbike and he punched me very hard. There were lots of people that were watching. Even the street sweeper had noticed and was shocked to see that. Then I was left alone in the sidewalks until I decided to order a motorcycle to go home. On the road, I was crying because my arm hurt so bad of the punch that he had given. Actually, there are still many treatments that I still think that are really toxic and makes me feel that I can't be myself. In the end, I realized that I could not continue like this, so I decided to end the relationship, even though he was begging and crying for us to stick together.
The story that I'm about to tell you guys is a story that is told to me by someone that I know and idolize. She works in an Indonesian political party and is active in women's rights activism. I met her back in Women's March 2018, and I'm going to be telling you guys the story of how she got involved in Indonesian politics and what is her work like while being a woman. So, this is her story. I have always been intrigued with social issues such as equality and human rights since I was very young. I read a lot of books related to these matters and imagined how I can make the world such a better place for all of us. I'm aware that there are a lot of unfortunate people who cannot afford basic human needs such as education, healthcare, and household. Not only in Indonesia, but many countries also facing the same problems. I believe to solve those problems, I have to get involved into politics and synergy between countries and international organizations. That's why I took political science and international relations as my study in Russia. My career in politics starts there. When I got back to Indonesia, I decided to join a political party and get involved into a lot of strategic decision making. It's not an easy thing to do as a woman. As you know, politics in Indonesia is a very masculine place, and men dominate the place. But it became my challenge, so I can stand up equal as a woman with the same quality among all of men surrounded me. Again, there was only few of women there, but I can prove that women is not only an object in politics, but we are also present and our ideas are just as important. During my politics activism, I met a lot of people from different backgrounds. It inspires me a lot. From old ladies in villages with their wisdoms and spirit to influence persons with their ideas, I thank them for who I am today. In the end, I want to encourage more women to take part into politics and social issues because our voices are important to be heard. As I mentioned, politics in Indonesia is still very masculine in terms of quantity and also the policies. So if more women take part, I hope it can shape more gender-friendly policies in the future. I'm currently Special Assistant for Strategy and Partnership in Indonesia's Defense Ministry. In political party, I am currently Head of HR and International Partnerships. I also joined some of the NGO, including UN Women. So this is her inspiring story, and I hope her story can inspire you.
Hello, my name is Ielfabriel Irawan, and for this section, I will be interviewing a woman in work who just so happens to be my sister, and she will be the subject for this section of discrimination in work. So I have asked her 4 questions. The first one being, what is her line of occupations? So she has replied by saying she has 2 lines of occupation, which are in British Petroleum of Asia Pacific, and the second one being in an NGO called Carbon Ethics. And as for the second question, I asked her what does she do in these lines of occupation and she replied by saying for BP she is the transformation lead and modernization, where she covers Indonesia, Australia, and China with the responsibility to make the company sure that the mindset shift and agility, basically making sure that the gears grind well. And as for the NGO, she aims to educate individuals and institutions on how to reduce and offset their carbon footprints through the restoration and conservation of blue carbon ecosystems. Okay, now on to the third question, which is more pertaining to the subject. Do you experience discrimination in your workplace? What do you experience and how do you stay strong through it? And she replied by saying, luckily, in both of my workplaces, I have not experienced discrimination before. In BP, I am also chairing Women International Network, the Indonesia chapter, and during her involvement in this role, she has heard report that discrimination cases have happened before, whether that's verbal or physical harassment. And her role against this in the company, where she is very blessed to be able to do, is that she and her team created a program that tried to heighten the awareness and understanding of harassment, including creating more communication materials that stated clearly that the company adopts zero-tolerance policies for such cases. Her team, were also successful in making harassment training as mandatory that all permanent employees need to take. And for the last question is, what is your message for other women? My message for other women is to pursue your passion and career, and don't ever let society or cultural judgment define you. At the end of the day, you are responsible for your own happiness. Once you understand this, it's easier for you to strive for gender equality, and indeed, it is not an easy conversation to have. She often encounters immediate resistance when she embarks on gender equality discussions, and she wants to remind everyone that our success, after all, were made possible by the earlier generations of women who have sacrificed for us, that have fought for women's access to education. Education is one of the most powerful levers available for avoiding emissions by curbing population growth. Women with more years of education have healthier children and actively manage their reproductive health. Educated women realize higher wages and greater upward mobility they are less likely to marry his children or against their will. So that's all for me and from my subject interviewee, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you.